something were to happen, God forbid, if God was like, I'm going to just try this dude. I'm like, I'm not even afraid of it. And here's why, because I've been there. I think a lot of the fear, the first time was the fear of losing everything and looking bad to others. Now I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what you think about me. Like, what you think about me is your business, not mine. I think the first thing a man has got to do is create clarity about what he wants that relationship to look like. I am very clear about what I want for the relationship with my sons and how I want to be viewed as a father and how I want my sons to be. I'm clear. Like, clarity is power. Most men are not clear. So they just kind of do what they've been trained, taught, and educated, how they were raised, and they never break the cycle or break the chains.
Welcome to Last in Line podcast, where we are highlighting, showcasing, and spotlighting great leaders of faith who have overcome adversity, cultivated resilience, and served others in a significant capacity. So settle in and be encouraged by this episode of Last in Line podcast. You can have anything you want in life if you're willing to pay the price. You don't have to be talented, special, or lucky to win in life. You just have to be committed. Those are the words, and that is a quote from our guest today, Mr. Setema Gali. He is a former Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots. He is a results coach, as he calls it. Not a life coach, right? Not a business coach, but a results coach. After he retired from the NFL, Setema began his entrepreneurial journey in the mortgage and real estate business. Through a decade of really high highs and really low lows, he realized his true calling in life was to help people get results. And so he has built a foundation of coaching on 4 pillars: physical, spiritual, relational, and financial. He's coached over 150 week-long immersion events. He has gotten eyeball to eyeball with men and women from across the world, coaching and leading them to overcome addiction, abuse, financial crisis, health crisis, relationship failures, and all of the everyday conditioning that must be shed for a man or woman to truly rise to fulfill their greatest calling. So I am absolutely thrilled to have him on Last in Line podcast, because we talk about faith, his spiritual life, being as broke as he could imagine, to having abundance and excessive resources to bless other people. And he's got a gift of speaking and relating and identifying needs and finding and providing solutions for people. So I can't wait. I'm not going to go into it any further. Without further ado, I want to introduce Setema Gali to Last in Line podcast. Setema Gali, welcome to Last in Line podcast.
Great to be here, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much, John.
Well, I mean, I've watched you recently, and sometimes I wonder how I miss certain people and don't get their stuff till late in the game. But I heard you on Ryan Mickler's podcast, and that was enough for me. Reached out, and I could tell you were the genuine article from that podcast. So I'm happy to have you here. It's always an honor to meet a former Super Bowl champion, and now in speaking and consulting and podcasting, been in the real estate business for a long time, had a lot of success. Man, I got to ask you though, before we start, I've been doing this lately and my guests seem to like it, but it's kind of putting you on the spot, not in a bad way
Go
at
ahead.
all. So
We're
relax.
good,
I know
man.
you can handle it. What do you want people to be saying once they walk away from listening to this podcast?
I think the biggest thing that I would want people to walk away from, if they listen to this, when they listen to it, is that no matter what I've gone through, no matter where I'm at, and no matter how challenging and no matter how deep in the dark pit I am, I have the power to go create whatever life that I want, and I'm going to go do it. Like, it's not enough to just have the hope, right? It's not enough to just be inspired. Like, I go watch Rocky 4, Rocky 3 with my boys to get excited. But from this is my desire is that people will really have an experience where they can see, like, okay, I can go build the life. I can go reinvent myself. I can go recommit. Like, I have the power to forge a new path, whether I'm 25 years old, whether I'm 55 years old, or whether I'm 75 years old. It doesn't matter. And that's the biggest thing, because a lot of people give up. A lot of people settle. A lot of people kind of let life beat them up. And, I want them to know that and to feel that. And the reason why that matters to me is because I was there, right? I hit the bottom for about 4 years, filed a bankruptcy, sold my Super Bowl ring, was depressed, was overweight. I mean, I went through 4 years of like, maybe my best days are behind me. And thankfully, I woke up and I got back in the game. I rolled my sleeves up. I got back in the trenches. I went to war. I went to battle, figuratively speaking. And I went and played the game again. And I've been able to reinvent myself. Again, I love the life that I live, right? I live right on the beach here in Destin, Florida. And I got a beautiful wife, 3 healthy boys. I love being a family man. I've got a great team. We have awesome clients. I love my life. Like, I love it. It's amazing. It's like I pinch myself like, this is amazing. And we ain't done. So that's what I would want. And that's why it matters.
Yeah, show them that it's possible. The possibilities are out there, and based on your story. Yeah. And another weird question that I've kind of started asking just as an icebreaker, and then I want to get into some people that maybe you look to for mentorship or leadership in some of those darkest times, and sort of the support system and who rallied around you and what made them great leaders. But first, man, what is in your time capsule if you leave one? What if you're burying a time capsule tomorrow? What is going to be in there for someone 100 years from now to dig up, stumble upon? They're surfing out in Destin, which they probably don't do much, but they come in and they all of a sudden washed up on the shore is a big capsule. And I've never asked anybody this, so I apologize if that's a weird question.
But good.
No, what is an autograph that's evidence for you? What's the autograph of your presence, the evidence of your legacy? What is going to represent you the best if that's in that?
I would put the books that I've written. Like, that would be it, and then I'd just write a letter. Right. Because in 100 years from now, like, people still remember you if you've got books or you've got works. We still talk about Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, some of these guys who have passed away that were mentors to me, or Napoleon Hill. Right. But for me, it'd be just and who knows what technology is going to be like, but books, a letter. I just write a letter to whoever reads this. Like, here's the real truth and here's the game.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, everything else inconsequential, man. Like, really doesn't matter. Material possessions, rings, jewelry, cars, all that stuff. It's cool in the moment. It represents a lot, but it doesn't really make you. Like, you have to be the person that makes it. So for me, it's just leaving knowledge, man. Maybe some, like, again, videos, courses, just like, whoever finds this, I'm going to give you the Holy Grail. I'm going to give you the golden gate, the golden path to go get what you want. That's it, man.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned books, so I'm guessing, because I know you're a faith guy, maybe there's a Bible crammed somewhere in there too, for that person that might stumble upon it. Man, talk about that a little bit. Did you have?
Yeah.
I mean, your faith journey. I don't know a whole lot about your background, but Samoan culture. I'm talk about your transformation from a faith standpoint, if you will.
I love this. So, grew up a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, right? Some people call us Mormons. But again, right, we Church of Jesus Christ, we follow Jesus. 9th grade, I go to this thing called seminary. Seminary is right where there's like part of school or early morning seminary. I take my son to early morning seminary. So every morning we leave the house at 5:15. So he can be there from 5:45 to 6:45. We're studying the scriptures, where there's the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, and some other scriptures that are inside of our religion. That year, 9th grade, 14 years old, I began to pray. And I begin to pray on my knees, and I begin to pray in the mornings and in the evenings, and I begin to pray always in my heart. And I discovered the power of studying the word and praying to God. My whole life changed that year. And then every year after that, I began to continue to dive into the word of God, to the scriptures, to follow Jesus. And I know there's a lot of people out there that talk about Jesus, and that's kind of how they're raised. But I'm like, look, you can be there's like two groups of men on the planet. There's a group of men they can quote the scriptures, they can talk about it, they know all the history behind it. And then there's a group of men who actually walk with Jesus and listen to the voice every single day. There's a group of men who know the stuff, who don't live it, who don't produce fruit. And then there's a group of men who actually walk with the Savior, who pray to God, who connect with God, who hear the voice of God, and who actually do something with what was taught versus just talking about it. And I like to put myself in the class of like, I'm a doer of the word, right? James chapter 2. Be ye doers of the word and not hearers only. Faith without works is dead. And yet I have the power of faith. So that was my journey. And I love the Lord. Like, again, conversion to Jesus or the gospel or the good word is an every single day experience. It's not one time that I was converted when I was 14. It's like I have spiritual experiences every single day. And that's my invitation to people. Like, if you're not watering and filling your bucket, whether it's your spiritual bucket or your financial bucket or your relational buckets and accounts, you're going to run out and you're going to dry out. And I love the scriptures. I love praying. I love what the Lord has done for me and my family. We've been so blessed, man. Like, I know a lot of people talk about it. Like, I could testify to the miracles in the hands of God in my life.
It's amazing too that you can read the same scripture 100 times and maybe get 100 different applications, because it's living, it's breathing, it meets you where you are in that journey, whatever phase of life you're in, whatever emotional state you're in, it meets you right there at the right time. And I'm just baffled at some of the scripture I've read. I'm like, I've known that one for 15 years, and then all of a sudden a light goes off in me about a scripture. This is a faith-based podcast. Guys that are listening to this, or this is music to their ears here, and you talk about that. We're talking about servant leadership here on Last in Line, and to talk to you, I can hear a servant's heart. And so you came up and were very successful, then kind of had a little valley, a desert that you walked around in for a while. And I know that's probably putting it lightly without knowing all the details, but surely there was somebody or a group of people or maybe a quality in people that you looked at and admired that sort of helped pull you out of some of that pit, of some of that despair and hopelessness. Because let's face it, if you're bankrupt and you're selling a Super Bowl ring, you're probably not at the top of your game. So no. Let's talk about some of those mentors and leaders that you respected and admired.
Yeah. So, when you're on the bottom, at least for me, I was very afraid. I was very ashamed, embarrassed, humiliated. And from 2008 to 2009, 2010 into 2011, like, I'm reading books, I'm listening to, audios. Podcasts weren't huge back then like they are today. And I'm like, man, there's gotta be a way. There's gotta be a way to come out of this. And one of my mentors, his name is Casey Baugh. So he recruited me to go knock doors. And he recruited me in 2009. Then he tried again in 2010. And then he tried again in 2011. By this time, I'm like, dude, I'm 35. I have nothing. I am financially broke. My confidence is gone. I didn't have the certainty. I didn't have the power. And I didn't have the skill sets and the mindsets that I have today. And it's amazing because, like, what we experienced back then, there's a shift. There's a kind of a recession. There's a lot of businesses are pretending that all is well. I'm not dumb. I've already been through this. I already know. I have a good friend that works at a title company, and she's like, we're like at 10% of what we used to be doing. Like, it is completely shifted. So while everyone is pretending and faking like I was doing back then, Casey Baugh was a big influence in my life, right? He's a huge investor. He recruited me. He got me into the door-to-door industry, and that changed my world. Like, that man changed my life. Then there was like the mentors whose books I would read. The Zig Ziglar, Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Kiyosaki. So there were the mentors whose books I would read. Then there were the mentors who I'd actually stroke a check to, right? Literally, I'd spent, I put $80,000 out in 2013 for 3 different mentors. Like I went all in on me. And that was the biggest difference. 2008, I tried to do what I'm doing today, but I never hired a coach. Imagine this. I'm trying to go get people to pay me for me to be their coach, but I don't have a coach. 2013, I saw the value of having mentors that I actually invested in. And the podcasts are amazing. Books are amazing. Free information, YouTube videos are all amazing. But something very magical happens when you actually invest in yourself. And I hired not 1, not 2, but 3 different mentors and coaches who then set me on a path. And even today, I have a coach right now that I work with. He's not cheap. And having a coach and a mentor, like it's critical to go to the next level.
I mean, books and podcasts don't hold you accountable. Like they can fill your brain full of information and theory, right? But they can't hold your hand sometimes, but they can't kick you in the butt sometimes either. You know, I mean, you need that accountability. You need that mentorship, that iron sharpening iron. I mean, obviously you've kind of ridden a roller coaster financially. Now you're on this kind of, you've set sail on this rocket ship and sustaining it, but down, you know, having a lot to not having anything to back up, like habits have to be formed, right? Like some of the stuff that happened to you was beyond your control, obviously, but I would bet if you looked back, there were some habits that you developed or that maybe you wish hadn't been developed. So talk about habits. I'm dealing with just kind of a dichotomy between all the New Year's resolutions and goal setting, which I know those are okay and those are fine to a degree, but we all know 90% of people quit them in the first 30 days, most likely. And that's rough statistics, I know. But why is it hard to develop good habits? And then why is it, you know, hard to break them, bad ones?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to share something that might be hard for people to swallow. And if you are a person who is a liar, like you just flat out lie, you lie to yourself, you lie to others, and you don't know how to tell the truth because you've been trained, taught, and educated to not tell the truth, to lie. And you're afraid of what people are going to say. You're afraid to confront. Again, spiritually speaking, right? Lucifer, Satan is the opposition. He is the father of all lies. Yeah. He does not want us to progress. So you take a man who has lied and continues to lie about his reality and about the work, and that habit of just not telling the truth, not being real, not telling the truth about what you really want, not telling the truth about where you really are, that hurts people. And once you start to tell the truth, right? I love when Jesus said the truth will set you free. That's like literal.
Yeah.
Once you tell that, hey, here's where I am, here's what I really want, and here's why that matters. Now, once people get clear and they can set the plan of action in place, then it's like, let's talk about habits, right? And the cue and the trigger and the cycle. And we can get into the deep dive of habits. Right. But the simplest way I look at habits is simply this, right? The phrase I learned long ago, we don't decide our lives. We decide our habits, and then our habits decide our lives. And so a person has to tell the truth. Here's where I am. Here's my current reality, and here's what I want. And if you're serious about that, you just reverse engineer. What are the habits that I need to put into place to go get that? Now, you asked the question. You're like, why is it so hard to break bad habits? Old habits die hard.
Right.
Well, we have this phrase in our side of our curriculum called old self-gravity. So you have this who you've been for most of your life, which is deeply ingrained and embedded in us, right? Whether habits of laziness, habits of lying, habits of procrastination, even habits of I'm not good enough, the stories.
Yeah.
And then you add on top of that the resistance or opposition or the adversary. So now you got this force that doesn't want us to succeed. We have this force or this resistance that wants to kill us, that wants to destroy us, spiritual wickedness in high places.
Mm-hmm.
Add that on top of just habitual way of being, non-powerful, weak, scarcity. And all of a sudden, it's like, it is hard to break free. This is why mentors, prayer, a community, locking arms with brothers, and or if you're a woman, other sisters, and or men and women.
Yep.
That's why it matters so much, man. Like, I could not be here without the mentors and without forging solid habits that have brought me here.
I mean, yeah. And you said something earlier about you went all in on yourself. And I heard Tony Robbins say, and I know he's said it before, but he actually said it yesterday on Ed Milet's release podcast. That's the only investment that will never depreciate in yourself. Like, that is never going to depreciate in value, because if you've done something to make yourself better, yes, you can digress if you go, if you derail, but most likely that investment you made is not going to depreciate because you just created something within you that wasn't there yesterday in a good way. Do you have anything to add to that quote?
Yeah, look, I love that. Great investments always yield returns. The greatest investment is in yourself. And like, the more you invest in yourself, again, based upon where you are, the greater the return. So there's, again, early on, I was like, to buy a book was huge. I was like, I never spent money on books. Then I started to buy books. Then I'd go to like a seminar and it was like $500. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is huge. Again, I'm an entrepreneur. So I typically speak to business owners, entrepreneurs who control their income based upon their actions and habits. Then that was big. And then I remember hiring a mentor for 15 grand. I was like, oh my gosh. And now it's normal. 50 grand, 100 grand. Like, I've written a lot of checks. And even my mentor, my coach right now, every hour that I sit with him in his house, I got to fly to him. It's $5 grand for an hour. So I don't mess around. Like, there's a steep investment and a real commitment. And depending on where you are, like, it feels good to just know I'm worth it. And another example, I go to a city, like I'll be in Las Vegas next week, and I'll be there for the whole week. So we always stay at nice places, always rent the biggest cars. I always go get a gym membership wherever I'm at. I don't care if it's $20, if I got to pay $100 for a week. To me, that's the investment. Eating the right foods and good foods and quality food, that's an investment. And people are like, well, that doesn't give you money back. Well, when I look good and feel good, and I've got energy, and I'm confident in my body or in my spirit or with my family, it always allows me to produce at a higher level as an owner, as a business owner, as an investor. So there's so much that we can invest in ourselves, not just hiring a coach, but the clothes we wear, the foods we eat, the places we travel, how we travel, the places we stay, the shoes we wear, even my bed. I get the most expensive beds. Why? A third of my life is on my bed, and sleep is so important. So
100%.
That's definitely for me a big investment.
100%. I mean, yeah, sleep. I knew you were going to go there because, sometimes we try to cut corners where we stay when we travel, and just for the sake of a few dollars, man, you're going to feel it and then some. You're going to cost yourself more money in the long run. So talking about kind of spiritual, psychological DNA, resilience is the big thing now the last couple of years. I always hesitate to generalize based on a culture, but you come from a culture that is very family oriented, very, very not afraid of hard work, very just I'm thinking determined. Okay. So I haven't done a huge amount of research, but I've known and seen people from the Samoan culture that there's a common denominator. Can you go into some of your background and family and why that's important in the foundation you kind of grew up with?
Like, family is so important to Samoans or Polynesians. It's like the foundation. God. So faith is huge. No matter what religion you are there, but there's a belief in God. There's a deep faith and trust that miracles happen. And this is why there's so many miracles in the islands. Family's huge. Case in point, every year we go to family reunion. So every year there's 2 reunions, and every other year there's 3 reunions. We're
Wow.
talking a full week. So
Wow.
that's our summer break revolves around family reunions. It's big. Even like we go see my parents in Utah, we go see my in-laws in Missouri every year. Like it's what we do, it's who we are. And it's just one of those values that's just it's high on the priority list. Family matters, faith matters, hard
Mm-hmm.
work. It's like so rooted and deeply embedded in us. And I'm grateful for my mom and dad. My parents divorced when I was young, so I got 2 moms and 2 dads, right? Both remarried. They showed me how to get it done. Like you do what's required, and this is how a man provides, and this is how a man takes care of his family, and there's just no excuses to be had. So a deep faith in God,
Mm-hmm.
family matters, and having value in family and being there for our family, and then just like I'll outwork anybody. I can outwork. I can work with The Rock talks about being the hardest work in the room, and I just laugh. I'm like, that dude don't know, man. He don't know me.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
would outwork that dude. Okay, well, I think maybe be close, but I'd outwork that dude under the sun any day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess what I also am curious about too is not only your family and just kind of the DNA that you grew up with in your blood, um, because some people would say, oh, well, then that's not universal. And I can't maybe accomplish what he did because he just kind of had it ingrained in who he was. I don't think that, I don't believe that. And neither would you, I'm sure. But I do have a question about uh, when you hitting the bottom that you said, does the fear of going back there drive you at all? I mean, I know you probably have different motivators now that and have created disciplines to where you don't really give yourself a choice on certain things, but
Yep.
does talk to somebody now about who thinks they messed up in the past and they're afraid of repeating history, but how that could be fuel kind of
Yeah.
for you going forward.
So in the beginning, it was definitely a fuel. It was a motivating factor. I never want to go back to this bankrupt, living in this 900 square foot townhome, no money. My father-in-law had to buy us a car. We were on EBT, food stamps. I mean, we were eating,
Mm-hmm.
we were eating manna from the heavens, right? It was like God was
Mm-hmm.
providing for us.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, there was a huge motivating factor. But again, you talked about habits. Once you become this type of person who just, I do what I say I'm going to do. I know what I want. I know what's required. I know the price it's going to take and the cost and the
Yeah.
sacrifice. I've already decided I'm going to pay this price. And then when you do that long enough, your baseline of who you are raises. So my baseline now is like I'm not worried. Like I'm like, dude, I'm not too worried about ever going back there. And one of the biggest reasons why is right now I know, John, like I know I do the work. I know what it really takes to innovate and to reinvent in the marketplace. And not trying to bring this to me. If that were to ever happen again, if something were to happen,
Mm.
God forbid, if God was like, I'm going to just try this, dude. I'm like, I'm not even afraid of it. And here's why, because I've been there. I think a lot of the fear, the first time it was the fear of losing everything and looking bad to others. Now I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what you think about me. Like what you think about me is your business, not mine.
Mm.
And when COVID happened and everything locked down, I was just grinning from ear to ear. People were like, why are you so happy? I was like, because I already been through this. People have more fear about something that would never happen. They make up fear about monsters in the closet or the boogeyman under the bed. People have that's what hurts people.
Yeah.
Reality usually doesn't hurt people. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't afraid. I was like, I already know. Like even today, that we know the market is shifting. There's a huge upheaval in the landscape in the economy. The real guys and gals who understand this, who understand power and production and leadership, more money is going to be made now than in the good times. Like this is where the wealth gets created. This is where people exploit the inefficiencies in the marketplace and
Right.
thrive on opportunity. So, once upon a time was a motivating factor. More than anything, now it's the pool of a possibility, a future possibility, memories, wealth, opportunity, that now pulls me versus trying to stay away from the negativity, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And you've been around winning for a while now. So it's kind of you've created that habit. And let's transition a little bit into family, because I know, like you said, that's a big deal. Faith and family and fitness. I mean, finances, I guess all those kind of lump together, but your kids watch you, obviously. Our kids, especially boys, I got 3 boys and a daughter, they all watch you, but the boys are really looking to the dad, and they're seeing what good looks like. They're deriving a lot of their disciplines and routines and words and habits and beliefs from you. So give us some nuggets for parenting. And guys on this podcast, most 99.9% have children. What is it about parenting that's made you successful? Like, why do your kids, and I'm just assuming something here, but why do they hang on your every word? Hey, before we get back to the conversation here with our guest, I want to thank one of our sponsors, a new partner, Uncommon, which is a ministry that is equipping and empowering great men to become the husbands, the fathers, and leaders they were called to be. Go to uncommon.org. That's UNCOMMEN.org. Check out their content. Go to YouVersion, download their devotionals. Great team, great people, great men, and they're out there for you. They're out there with great content, and they're out there to encourage us to be the men we were called to be. So I want to thank TJ and his team at Uncommon. So now let's get back to the conversation with our great guest here at Last in Line Positive Word. Why do they want to emulate Dad?
Well, I appreciate that, and pretty accurate. I think the first thing a man has got to do is create clarity about what he wants that relationship to look like. I am very clear about what I want for the relationship with my sons and how I want to be viewed as a father and how I want my sons to be. I'm clear. Like, clarity is power. Most men are not clear. So they just kind of do what they've been trained, taught, and educated, how they were raised, and they never break the cycle or break the chains. So I was like, I looked at my past. I'm like, okay, cool. I saw how my parents raised us. They were amazing. They did the best they could. I love them. And I made some critical decisions. My wife's going to stay home to raise our kids. When the kids get older, she want to go work. Great. I was clear. We're going to have a parent in the home. Number 2, my sons are going to see how a man provides, and I'm going to talk to them and show them. So I teach and train my boys every single day. I'm in their ear. That we have mantras and affirmations and fill in the blank things. Like, we discuss books. We read scriptures most nights. We pray. They go to the gym with me. They love the gym because, again, they're watching me. And again, the clarity is, I want my sons to be men of valor and men of value. I want them to be built to contribute. And we have this distinction called champs, not chumps. So it's like, we don't do the chump behavior where you're lazy and you're overweight and you're obese or weak. Like, you got to be strong. You got to be able to protect your family. Again, I'm indoctrinating my sons to discover God for themselves, to discover the value of hard work. And again, my boys, they train. They love the gym. They, obviously they're still boys. There's some days that they don't want to do chores, but in our home, it's the standard. You do your job, you do your chores. If you try to go to bed and your chores aren't done, I will come pull you out of bed. You do that a few times, and the boys kind of figure out Dad ain't playing.
Yeah.
Or you tell them, hey, you can't go to the party unless this is done. If they don't do it, and you still let them go to the party, you fail. So you hold your ground on your standards, and you show your sons or daughters what it looks like to live a life of integrity. And more important, like, you have to live this standard. Like, I cannot tell my boys to be present and then I'm on my phone. So again, I'm leading by example.
Yeah.
Really, and I'm just clear. I tell my boys every day, I love them. I hug them every day. I tell that my boys come to my office after school every day. I drop my sons off to school every day.
That's
On
awesome.
Fridays, we do breakfast. So we had breakfast this morning every week. You know, obviously if I'm
Yeah.
not in town,
Yeah.
I show my boys my bank account. They see my
Yep.
bank account once a month. They see it not there before, like, dude, we're rich. I'm like, no, 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 no. It's very relative, and you aren't rich. I'm like, Shaq, I'm rich. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. That's
So I
right.
just my boys see my bank account. We talk about the gym. We talk about how to treat a woman. They always get their mom's door. My boys know when it's time to clean up, and you see a woman with groceries. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you take care of the women.
Yeah.
And I'm so clear that if a man will be there for his children and
Mm-hmm.
be present and like be clear about what it's going to take. Like, we all have different ways to raise our boys, but the principles are the same. Tell
Yep.
them, show them, tell
Mm-hmm.
them, show them, love them, have them tell you and have them show you, and then reward the good behavior. I mean, my
Yeah.
oldest son, he gets up at 4:30 to get ready for school. I take him at 5:15. Like, he gets up, makes his own breakfast, makes his own lunch. He goes to the gym after his rehearsals. I'm just like this.
Well,
I'm so grateful, man.
that's so good, man. But okay, so what if there's a group of guys out there that have fallen short for a while? Okay, they listen to your podcast, they pick up a couple of your books, all of a sudden there's a fire lit, but yet they've created this trail of non-credibility, if that's a thing. And
Yeah.
now, but they want to start today, right? But their kids are 10, 12, 14, 16, whatever, and they've done it wrong for so long. But now dad's changing, right? Now dad's got a vision. Now dad's better. Man, you know where I'm going. Like, that's a
Yeah.
hard curve to level out. So talk to a guy that may be behind the eight
Yep.
ball a little bit, and what's maybe his first step of proving himself.
So I always tell people there's a power inside of a conversation, and there's going to be a consistent conversation that gets to be had. The first and foremost important conversation is to acknowledge, for a man to go and confront his kids and acknowledge where he has fallen short. Acknowledge it. And it would sound a conversation like, hey guys, I want to have a talk with you guys about something that's important. Like, what? And again, turn the TV off, like, frame up this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids are like, okay, this is important. And he needs to say something to the tune, look, guys, I've tried the best I can and I have failed. I've not shown up. I've not been my word. I have not shown up to games, and I have lied, and I have yelled, and I've done things that I'm ashamed, and I just acknowledge it and be like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for, like, apologize. Let the kids know, like, I'm sorry. And then you need to then shift gears and be like, here's what I want. And tell them what my boys know, like, I want us to be close. I want us to be able to talk about anything. Like, literally the other day, my son was like, Dad, what is, like, the boys at my school, they're like, oh, I'm trying to get this girl to send me pictures of her kitty. I'm like, well, do you know what they're talking about? He's like, no. I'm like, they're talking about her vagina. We are so just straight about any word, anything,
Sure.
no taboo. And so I'm like, they're talking about pictures of their people's private parts, son.
Mm-hmm.
And I just teach him. So if a man's going to start, he needs to go confront it, acknowledge it, have a conversation. And then here's the best thing he could do. He just should tell his children, I know that this one conversation is the beginning and I may fall short, but I'm going to commit to do this every day, because what I want is this. And you need to tell your children what you want, why it matters to you. Like, paint the vision. I want us to be close. I want us to create memories. I want us to work out together. I want to show you how you can have an amazing marriage, and like how you can build wealth and have a life that you love. Like, I tell my boys this all the time. This is why it rolls off my tongue.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, like, if you've been an asshole for 15 years, you got some work to do. You are in a huge deficit. You are negative in that account. So the most important thing you can do is start. Deposit. Do what you said you would do. Show up. If you mess up, just be like, I'm sorry. I was wrong for that. And I'll probably apologize once a week to my sons, because I'll fall short. I'll yell or do something. I'm like, I was bonehead move. But the Lord, for me, morning and night, will whisper to me what I can do different and what I can do better as a father and as a husband.
Yeah.
So that's my words to him. And then go play the long game. If you've not been showing up, start and then revisit these conversations every 30 days and show them, like start. Don't
Yeah.
just tell them, show them. And in our home, we said, like, I'm like, don't tell me. My boys are like, show me. I'm like, let's go. Show
That's
me.
right. That's right. That's perfect. And that's right on. And I knew you would, I almost knew that's what would be your answer to a degree, because I've listened to you and watched you for a little bit, and you can learn about somebody in just a short time. You might be surprised how short a time I can learn about how you would have answered that question. But in addition to that, there is a fine line, I think, for that same dad. Okay. The humility is a factor to get to the point where he goes and sort of apologizes, owns up to all that he's done for so many years and how he wants to change. But there's a line too, is, I'm still the authority. Is there any risk in having your kids hold you accountable for the short term of, in a way of that's still reverent and respective, right, of you as the authority? But to this point, you haven't really earned that, right? You haven't earned the respect to that dad. So is there a danger, or would you recommend someone saying, look, this is how committed I am. You guys, here's the list of things I'm going to be better at. By this day, I'm going to do this. By this, and I want you guys, let's have conversations about that.
I love this accountability. I tell a man, under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, yeah.
The best thing you could do is tell them you're going to do one thing and change that one thing. I would not try to go do 5 or 10 things. I'm going to pick one thing and I'm going to master that thing. It's like Bruce Lee's like, the man who does a kick 10,000 times. My boys know they can count on me. If I tell them this is what we're doing, it's done.
Right.
If I tell them we're going to go do this, we're doing it. Yeah. Like, if I tell them something, my boys know, like, they can count on it. Very few times do I have to change plans on them for something that they want. And my boys know that. I tell my sons all the time, you can call me out. You can tell me if I'm falling short. No problem about that. And again, you're still the leader of the home.
Yep.
So you don't have to grovel and swing the pendulum so far the other way and let your kids take advantage of you.
That's right.
No, your children want you to be the leader and like to have certainty. If you're in a battle and your general is freaking out, got a problem. So as a father, like, I love to maintain my cool as much as I can, stay certain, and I give my sons assurances. Hey, we're going to be okay. I promise you. I mean, my son just got in a fight at school yesterday, got a call from the principal's office. This kid hit my son first. My son chased him down and beat the snot out of him.
Okay.
So I had to talk to my son last night, and I didn't even get mad. I'm like, what
happened? Bravo.
Listen, I'm like, why would I get mad?
No.
I was like, obviously, so he did something. So, we talked to the principal. My wife goes and sees the principal, and she calls me and tells me, and I'm just in my son's ear. I got you, son. You're not a bad kid. If someone hits you, I would love for his teeth to be on the ground. And then I'm like, I'm just kidding. Kind of not kidding, but he's like, I was like, but my point is, son, violence is the last step. Walk away. And I'm just using these as gifts and opportunities to teach my sons.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, like, be a leader for your kids.
Yeah.
If you need to listen to more podcasts and read a book, but whatever you tell your kids, you need to follow through, because that's how they begin to have trust in you. You say it happens, trust.
Yeah.
You say it happens, trust. You say it, they deposit. It'll come to a point where your kids will believe in you.
Right.
And they'll look up to you, regardless of the past.
Yeah. And full disclosure, if I'm putting words in your mouth, which I might be, but you might have had more work to do in your son had he not handled that situation that way. Like, there might have been a little more disappointment had he gotten punched and then just kind of fell down and started crying, or didn't address the issue, or at least I would. I'll speak for myself, but
no, yeah, I'll just say it. Like, look, like the principal was like, we saw the film. They came out of the bathroom. They were jawing at each other for about 4 minutes, and the kid hit your son. And then the kid tried to run, and your son chased him down and went to town on him.
Yeah.
And I stayed calm. I'm like, oh, well, do we know? And we went to the school. My wife went to the school to have a conversation with the principal. Hey, who's these kids' parents? We need to let's root this now. And I'm proud of my sons. Like, I think one of the worst things we do as parents there's a time to freak out, right? There is a time to freak out, to throw, like, to let them know this don't work. Most times I'm like really striving to just like, let me just see what's really going on here in this situation. You know, before my oldest, maybe his grades weren't great. I'm like, what are you doing? I just freak out. And then I'm like, hey, why do we have a C in this class, man? Talk to me. And I'm just listening to learn, listening with curiosity, trying to figure this out. It's one of the best things you can do, because you're showing your children how to handle pressure and stress. If you freak out every time, you're teaching them this is how we handle things.
Right.
We yell and we freak out. And again, I'm not perfect at all. I grew up yelling at my son, so I've had to course correct over and over, to the point where now I'm like, got in a fight, I'm like, okay. And then I even asked the principal, how does the other kid look? And he literally sat silent. He's okay. All right. I am just kind of like, just make sure we win the fight. And again, you're not going to win every fight, but you got to fight. And you got to fight for what's right. And you got to take a stand. So I'm like, that's right. A dude touches you, it's lights out for him. And
we would have had more of a problem, I think, had my son done nothing. I'm sorry. But
exactly. I'm like, dude, we don't ever get punked, man. Ever.
That's right. Well, so that leads me sort of in a sick, twisted way to my next point before I let you go, because I know we're up against it here in a little bit. But man, what is a message to our next generation of young men? What is if you could bottle up a message for them? I mean, there's countless things you could probably say, especially on the stage, and you deliver messages all the time and get paid for coaching, but give us sort of something boiled down for the next generation of kids in that teenage area, early 20s, maybe even kids that are just getting out of college that are like, okay, society's telling me what a man is, and I don't like what that looks like. And society's telling me that what a real man is toxic. So what do I do here? So what's a message to them?
I love this question, brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
My words to this upcoming generation are simply this. Like, the world wants you to be weak, dumb, docile, because you can be easily controlled if you are weak. And the way to win is to be physically jacked. Now, people are like, jacked like us. No, you don't need to be a bodybuilder. Can you run a mile? Can you handle yourself? Are you strong and confident? Number two, be in tune spiritually. Like, whether you believe in God or not, whatever your beliefs are, for me, I'm like, God can help us way more than we can help ourselves. So have some, like, have this frequency to be in tune. Number three, like, be a man who takes care of his family. Earn a living and provide a great living for your family. Like, be able to take, like, you got to have skill sets, mindsets. You know, like, my boys know when they wake up, I'm coming home from the gym. I'm always at the gym. Then I'm in my office. My boys take a look. And so, like, physically strong, spiritually in tune, relationships. And like, you need to learn how to take care of a woman. Open her door. Take care of her needs. Date her weekly. And then the final thing is, like, be able to think critically. Like, think critically. And again, I don't want to go into too much.
Because they don't want you to. They don't want you to, do
no, they want to control you. And I tell my boys this all the time. Again, I don't, look, whoever gets offended, just don't be offended. I'm like, I ask my sons, does the government care about us? And they're like, nope, they don't. Do most of these companies care about us? Nope, they don't. So we got to be critical. Like, we got to think critically on how we feed ourselves, on the information we take in, on what we listen to. And I'm like, the majority of these people out there in these places that are supposed to be taking care of us, they don't care about us.
That's right.
We have to take care of ourselves, and we need to stand with other powerful men, and we need to take a stand and be willing to fight for our freedoms. Now, some of the greatest fights are not physically fighting.
Sure.
As you know, it's the intellectual warfare. It's making the moves that allow us to be free and to be able to have money, which gives us options and choices.
That's right.
That's what I keep telling my sons. Like, and to the upcoming generation, you destroy a man, you destroy a home, you destroy a community, you destroy a state, you destroy nations.
That's right.
Where there are strong men, like, we win.
You can't be shaken. You can't shake a nation when the men are leading the way that they're supposed to be leading. And I think you're right. Like, I think there are those big I think big government especially wants to lobotomize us into a state of dependency upon them. And that way comfortability reigns. So the more comfortable we are, that's a win for them. So I think, like you said, we need to think for ourselves, provide for ourselves, and then understand how to handle this comfort. So before I let you go, I want to know maybe what was the most area of growth for you in 22? And then kind of what do you feel like God's leading you to do in 23 this year?
I love that question. Thank you. I mean, the most growth in this last year in 2022 was as a husband and a father. I know our business grew, our marketing, our clientele, our revenue. But for me personally, I'm really learning how to hone in and be this world-class 5-star daddy and husband.
Mm-hmm.
The direction for this year in our organization, professionally, is to take the movement that we have been leading of prosperity and abundance and to take this wide to reach more people. And I look at like you and I, we are on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Us and Mickler, we are on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other coaches and influencers and authors and speakers. Like for the most part, the majority of us, we are on the same team, moving in the same direction to make a difference and to help people fulfill the full measure of why they were created.
Mm-hmm.
So for 2023, like for us, let's take the business vertical. Like we've got some great things on the books. We got events coming up and we got curriculum that is proven. And while we're doing that, is to still be a humble servant of God, to be a powerful father, to be a powerful husband, and to be a beacon of light. And that's where we're heading 2023. Beacons of light, man. Beacons of light.
So good. That's so good, man. I've been blessed by having you on, man. It's been an honor to have you and see you and get to know you now a little bit. And so I can't wait to kind of see what you just described kind of take shape this year. And you know what? I would almost bet that even your expectations, as aspirational as they are, I bet you exceed those even more than you think in 23. I'm speaking that over you, man. I think God's got a huge plan for you because you're genuine, you're authentic. Where can we find all of your resources and maybe even hire you to get some coaching input?
So if you go to setemagali.com, that's SETEMAGALI.com, which is just my first and last name, setemagali.com. Our podcast, our programs, our immersion programs, our coaching circle, all of our things are there. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. I have a podcast called Your Daily Revolution. And again, if I can make a difference for you, look me up and allow us to make a difference. But man, thank you for having me here. I'm honored, man. Seriously, thank you. Thank you so much. I love your questions, man.
Of course. No, I appreciate it. If I could have if there's a suggestion box out there and I'm going to dump one in for you, man, I would love it if you just added more time to your podcast. Like I like that they're short, but man, you get on a roll and you get me so fired up and then it's over and I'm like, where'd he go, man? So
I can do that. I will definitely put some longer ones in there, man.
Maybe some 10 minutes, maybe a 10 minutes more, maybe just 10 minutes more. No, I appreciate it. It's been an honor to get to know you. Audience, he's been Setema Gali. We've been last in line. Be blessed.
Make your escape.